Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video, and welcome to another episode. Another episode working on our Phantoms, doing the Tamiya and the Academy kits. Turning the Tamiya kit into the Academy kit in sort of ways. The Tamiya kit is not going to be the American style as you see in the picture here. It's actually going to be the ROKAF version. And so we're doing it backwards, but I'm doing both builds at the same time, comparing how they go together. Comparing? That's a real word, but it's not proper for that sentence. Comparing how they go together and seeing which one's nicer, which one's a little more difficult. You know how it goes. So, let's look at our Tamiya one so far. Got this all assembled. This is pretty much where I finished it last week. Or not last week, but last time. We got this. I was working on our little landing gear bay doors. Now we're going to switch gears today and we're going to go over to the Academy kit and kind of put on some fins and wings and things like that on the Academy one. The Academy one, he's looking like he needs a little bit of love. He's just kind of missing some stuff, and so it's time to kind of put those same pieces on the Academy kit that we've done on the Tamiya. If we go back to our instructions on the Academy, we got the intakes done and the nose cone put on, all that put together. We're skipping the cockpit area because I don't like having a lot of stuff assembled here in the cockpit area, especially when I need to lay the planes down on its top like this. Things tend to, paint gets scratched off, things get broken off, so I like to kind of leave it until I'm ready to actually put the canopy on, that kind of thing. So we're going to skip that little step and we're going to move to the little tail section. This little area right here. So we already have the instructions showed these three pieces all put together, so that's already done. So this is ready to just go plop and be put in right in our little spot right here, like so. Now it's not a perfect fit. There is a little bit of a gap and I'm not super happy with it, but that is kind of what we're getting to expect with our Academy kit. We do have little tabs here and here. They fit into little grooves they've done just on the inside here. Now if you're having a problem with it not wanting to line up and fit flush, you could trim the tabs down a little bit, but I don't think that's really going to give you any real problems. The big gap I do see is where it connects here at the back. That is the big gap I see there. It doesn't quite go all the way forward. It gets pretty close, but just not quite. So anyway, let's put a little bit of glue on this. I'm going to do this. I'll change the camera for you so you can see a little better what I'm doing. So, a little glue on that tab, a little glue there, kind of go all the way around the edge. The fitment is pretty good along this edge where I'm putting the glue. And so, I just kind of line it up. Press it in as close as it can, as far forward. See, I am right flush against the edge here on this side, and I'm right flush there. I've got a bit of a gap right there. I'm flush along here, and my gap at the back is it's not bad. Could it be better? Yeah, it could, but it's not bad. So just for a little added measure, I want to make sure this is going to stay tight. hold that for a moment while I check out a text I just got. Alright, that should be long enough to hold in place pretty good. Let's double check this side. I think I want to add some along here, just to make sure it's going to be a strong hold. Now I've got this pretty much as flush as I can get it. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. Okay, so here's an example. Can't put my knife through there, but I can put my blade through here. That shows you the gap we got going on here. Also, you might be able to see on the camera there's a gap here and here. There's nothing I can do about that because this is right butt up against here on that edge, but here and here it's not, and there obviously. So with some putty and stuff like that, if I had not painted this thing, that would not be a problem. But I've got it all painted, so I'm not going to bother filling it in with putty or anything like that. So next we have our little arrestor hook. That's going to go on. Now the Tamiya one obviously had that big shank coming off there to slide into the hole. This one's just a little one. It's a little short shank. So let's see, and of course it doesn't have all that detail down there that the Tamiya kit has. So even though this has a short shank, whoops, stuck to my finger. Where'd that go? Even though it's a short shank, it still doesn't want to go in there all the way. Let's get a bit of cut that bit of a nub off of there, which is supposed to fit into that hole. There we go. And that's all it does, just like that. So the level of detail on this compared to the Tamiya one, I guess you could say it leaves a bit to be desired. It kind of sits not quite flush down there. See how it's hanging off? There's nothing to hold it at this end, unless I were to literally hold it and put some glue there, which I am going to do. I want it to sit in its home where it belongs. So I'm going to glue that down, and I'm going to have to hold that for a minute or two. So we just hold and we wait. Now I could just put a piece of tape over it and then set it and forget it. That is an option. And since I don't want to sit here for 5 minutes holding that, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's put that in its spot. Let's get it in its right spot. Almost glued it off center. There we go. So I'll just let that sit like that for 5 or 10 minutes, however long it's going to take. and we will move on. That concludes this page. So we flip over and we're working on our wings and our stabilizers and our tail fin. So we have these, we got these already made up, and these are going to go in with our section that we put on here that faces downwards, okay? Which means this one goes on this side. And they fit in fairly tight, and I want to put them at a downward angle like this. So let's put a little bit of glue on them. Let's put it on this edge here. Unlike the Tamiya kit, there's no tabs, it just fits into this little channel here, and that's all you get. That's all you get as far as contact surface. So just to add to some rigidity, add some glue in here. Try not to mess up my paint job, which I did a little bit here, but I can get away with that with some weathering. So you won't see my blemish too badly. So that's alright. So we're going to do this side now. It's going to go in there. I'll do the same thing. A little bit of glue on that leading edge. Put it in about the same position. Angled down. Yeah, I think that's pretty close to being even. Sure we're nice and tight in there. There we go. Now, of course, the instructions tell you to now put your wing tips on each side, but we're not doing that with this kit, right? We're not. I'm actually using the Tamiya ones. So they're going to go on, but they're basically going to be one of the last things I put on, because they're going to be sitting up like this and they're going to get in the way. So they're going to be like the last thing I do, pretty much, right? With our arrestor hook glued in, that should be, I'm going to test this and see if the glue has finished holding it or not, and see if I can get away with taking this tape off already. And it did not hold it at all. So we're going to do a little bit of a different strategy. I'm going to use a much shorter piece of tape. Just turn that into a piece of garbage. Okay, so the reason I've done that is because I'm going to glue my wings on here, but I didn't want the tape to get involved with that. So I re-glued that, and we're going to let that hold, and I'm going to leave that for, I don't know, an hour, a day, a week, or even a year. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so let's do our rear stabilizers. So these only go in one way. If you try and put it in, if I were to try and put this one on this side, our wing would be facing up. And in fact, I don't think you can do them backwards, because I think the tabs might be, no, the tabs are the right size, same side, but it's just doesn't want to go in. I guess technically it does. It's just going to be all weird with the wing up. Everyone knows phantom tail fins face downward, right? Just like that. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that. I don't want to put too much because I don't want the glue squeezing out. And it is a very tight fit. It is a tight fit on here. So there's one. Making sure I've got my fins facing the same here. Okay. Now we'll test this one before I glue, in case I need to do any adjusting. Maybe I need to shave it off. You never know. Especially after getting paint on there. You never know. You know that it's a tight fit. See, it doesn't quite... There. See, it's a tight, very tight fit. Once you put a little glue on there, it helps it out. But it is very tight. And I just moved this fin. Pissed me off. Accidentally moved this one with my hand, so I have to re-glue. Fortunately, it's a very tight fit on these. Okay. And there we go. There's our fins. So, obviously, unlike the Tamiya kit, these ones are fixed in place. The Tamiya kit, you can move them. Okay. So there's one advantage that the Tamiya kit has, is that you can position these in their limited amount of movement that they have. These obviously are fixed in place and you can't do anything with them. And so that's that. I'm not really happy with that big gap, but what are you going to do? At the end of the day, it is what it is. You put this on here, and the gap is kind of negligible. Once we get panel lining on there, it's really just going to look like a big panel line, right? And that's how it's going to be. So, there. You get the idea. Okay. So, speaking of that, the tail fin, we have G15 that's supposed to go down on top of here. And every reference photo I've seen of this G15 is, what do you call it? It's like a fuel dump or something like that, right? Let's get G15. Where is my Academy box here? Find my G tree. Okay, G15. This guy right here. Alright, this guy here. You know, I watched some kind of a video on YouTube that showed excess fuel coming out the end, coming out of the tips of this thing. And that's how I know it's a fuel dump. It's kind of weird looking thing. It sits on the end like this. Just like that. And from what I've seen in reference photo, this is the fuselage color. It's not metal. And it kind of sits like that, and then it leaves the smaller tab here at the for the tail fin, and that's basically how it's going to sit. It's just like that. Photos I've seen of this, basically that's what it is it just sits like that, and it is the same color as the fuselage. It's not metallic. So I'm going to leave it in that color. Actually, before I put it on, I'm going to take some panel liner, because it's nice and easy to deal with, and go in these two holes. Like that. Too much on this side, so I just dab it, do that. There we go. That's it. Just sits in the end. Just like that. Now, do I want to put the tail fin on? Not yet. Because of these little things that stick off the tips, those are delicate, and also when I start doing landing gear and stuff like that, I don't want this fin there. But right now the plane sits down pretty nicely. If I put the tail fin on there, it's not going to sit nice. So tail fin's not going on. Okay. Speaking of landing gear, we got a whole bunch of stuff to get started on both planes doing landing gear. Now, last time I did start on the Tamiya kit. I got the front or main landing gear post assembled, so we can start doing that on this kit too. And unlike the Tamiya kit, the Academy kit, you actually assemble the wheels. The Tamiyas, yes, they are your rear landing gear does have two halves that go together, but on this one you actually have to assemble the inner rim as well as the tires, and they all sandwich together. So I did paint those all up, so I do have tires all ready to go. I just want to make sure that I got that thing straight in the middle, and that is good. So that can go here. And let's take a look at some landing gear. After, again, I check another text. Okay, so we're going to grab our F tree and our K tree. Okay, F and K. So that's G. That's O. Here's our K tree. K tree originally was black, molded in black. I primered it, and now I've done the tire. I've painted the tires. And now I also need F. Okay. F tree was molded in white, primered it, and then painted it white again. Kind of redundant, but the painted white just looks a little bit more realistic than the molded white. The molded white is just super bright white, and it's not really natural looking. Okay, so let's take a look at our tires. K34. K34, what's kind of strange, the tires are here, but there's no wheels inside them. There's no rim. They don't show the assembly of the tires. They don't show it assembled, but they do show K34 and F19. F19 are these little guys here. It's funny, they point out the part number, but they don't show you what you need to do. So that's not very helpful, Academy. Okay, let's take a look at our rears. K23 and O12. So I wonder what these are. F20. I need O12 and Q3. Why do I need 4 pieces? That is crazy. O12 and Q30. Let's find those. There's O, O12, Q30, Q. Q30 right here, and we've got another pair of wheels also. So I guess, again, this is coming down to Academy giving us sprues that have the same parts but for different options of planes. There's that one. And that one. It's kind of redundant, you know. I had to paint these white when I could have easily just used these. They look like the same size. They look like exactly the same size. So why didn't they just let me use those? Or why couldn't I have used number 20 off of this tree? Yeah, they look a little different. So it's all about your rim pattern. The Tamiya kit obviously doesn't give you that option, because on the Tamiya kit your wheels and tires are all one piece. Well, not one piece, but close. You'll see what I mean when we get there. Once I get these tires assembled, I'll put the Tamiya ones together and I'll show you. Actually, I should pay attention to this. For the tires, I've got more tires than I actually need. I want K25 and 23. '24 and 26 are identical. It makes no difference. It doesn't make any difference which ones you use. They are the same. They have to be the same. They have to be. Okay, let's put our little rims together. It looks like these don't actually go together at all. So we're going to put this piece into the side that has this little ridge. I don't know if you can see on the camera. It's got a little bit of a ridge. You can tell the part that I didn't paint. Okay? It's still primer color. So this is going to go into there like that. Okay? So before I do that though, I really should paint these. Let's grab this paint. You guys get to see me paint again. Fun stuff, eh? You get to see me paint again. Let's this, get that out of the way. And I'll grab a little brush. Of course, with this being white, the more coats you put on, the more white it becomes. With it being part of the wheels and tires, I'm not that concerned about it, because once I start weathering it with some panel liner, the white is going to get really diluted into a gray anyway. So there we go. Okay, so this goes in there like that. You want to have the little square sticking out, otherwise you won't have any attachment point. Okay, so let that sit. We'll do the same on this one. press to make sure it's seated in there. There we go. Now we go with the other ones, or the front. These don't look like the same. So, do these go in this way? They don't have the same little ridge. It looks like, this is interesting. Interesting little dilemma. They do show it going in from the back, but it doesn't seem to be a perfect fit. So, let's make sure my nubs are clean and see. If it is supposed to press in, it's not really working. So let's just see. How are we doing here? Do a little test fit here. Okay, so that fits fine. If I put this and just sit it in there, nothing lines up. Doesn't line up at all. So, that tells me that this has to actually fit inside that thing and go flush. Okay? So, remember I said the wheels aren't, the tires are all the same? Let's just see. Are they actually the same? No, this fits flush. So they actually are not the same. I got no problem fitting that rim inside that tire. Yet the other ones, the insides, they are. So tire hangers. Alright, so these are not going to be used at all. It's these guys. Now they have little slots on them. Oh yeah, it is a fatter tire. Okay, so I'm going to be pushing these out, if I can now. The tire dimensions are actually different. The glue's already stuck in there really good. Good job, glue. Okay, so we're not using those. Let's start over, shall we? These tires are much fatter. And I did not notice that until I was actually comparing them. The hub size is exactly the same, but the tires are fatter. These tires are much fatter than these. If I do this, yeah, we got skinny tires and fat tires. So maybe on the later version, the D version, the tires are fatter. Which means I gotta get my white paint out again. Okay, there's one. And there's the other one. Okay. So I'll clean my brush again. All right. Okay, let's grab one of these, put that down in there. And it gets glued in. A little bit of a press, make sure it stays. Okay. Deal. Okay, now this can press into there. It fits flush. I can actually press it through if I want, but I don't want to do that. The other option is perfectly flush and straight. There we go. There we go. So line that up. Oops. Okay, so we do have, I got that lined up. Yeah, see, I can push the rim in too far, and I don't like that. So before I put these assemblies together, I want to make sure my rim is glued in and dry. This one, I want to make sure my nubs are clean. It's kind of the drawback to being able to have the rim separate like that. Yeah, it's nice, you don't have to mask it to paint, but at the same time you have these alignment issues. This one I've got a, I know I'm going to have an issue with this little seam sticking up at the middle where the mold went together for the two halves. So I need to clean that off. And we are going to choose a side that looks nice. One side of these front tires, one side has ejector pin marks. And the other side doesn't. Now, because I painted them black, it's kind of hard to see them. But I know they're there. Okay, there's that wheel. That one's done. Make sure this one's cleaned up. My chat is very chatty again today, as usual. You guys talk about how you want to see videos every day, but then you don't watch me live. And you never talk to me. You know, I got nobody to talk to. If you guys would subscribe to me on Twitch, then you'd know when I'm live. And then you could watch me do this stuff in real time. And you could ask me questions in real time. There we go. Front wheel's done. Now, let's assume, let's try to assume, these are together now. Assume they're together. Assume the glue's dry. That's what I'm meaning to say. I don't want to have my fingers on the tires because, well, the glue has a tendency to run underneath your fingers. Press a little bit, make sure they're together without pressing in on the rim. One wheel assembled. Now yes, I will have to do some touch-up painting on the rubber before we're all said and done. But that's plenty all right. Another tire done. Okay, so that's the Academy wheels. I'm going to throw these ones away. These are garbage. Okay, junk. Alright, I want to check something here. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at the Tamiya ones. Okay, let's look at the Tamiya tires. So let's put our Academy kit over here for now. And put our Academy instructions over there. Tamiya ones. The Tamiyas are a little bit simpler, as our front wheels are our front tires are a single piece each, and our rear tires are just 2 pieces each, and that's it. So let's take a look at those. Let's find our Tamiya kit. Tamiya ones are on 2 different sprues. So I've got our double D's, right? D trees, 1, 2, 3, just like that. Both kits the same, or both sprues are the same. Okay, so the Tamiya ones, one thing I will notice right off the bat, the Tamiya tires are rounded. Okay, they're rounded. Okay, and the Academy ones, they are square. They're square, flat. The Tamiya ones are round tires. More tubular, I guess you could say. Big difference in that regard. There we go. And we'll grab the other sprue. Drop that on the floor. There we go. And then our other 2. There we go. Okay. Let's clean up our nubs off of these little tires. And you see, here's another advantage that the Academy had. Yeah, I had to assemble them, but the Academy tires were actually molded on a black sprue, so even though I painted them, When I took them off the sprue, there's no white. Touch-up needs to be done. But on the Tamiya you have to, because the Tamiya sprue is, you know, that light gray color. Oh, where's my other one? Damn it. I mean, oops. Okay, those are done. I want to clean up our little nubs here before I try to assemble. Based on the way everything else has been fitting on the Tamiya kit, I'm not anticipating any fitment issues on these. I will test fit the first one. Okay, there's nothing to line up, you just line it up however you want. There you go. There's a Tamiya tire done. And yeah, right off the bat I can tell that the rims are different. The rims are different on the two kits. Obviously the Tamiya kit is an F-4B and the Academy kit's an F-4D. There's nothing I can do about making one over the other. There we go. And once again, you can tell the tire width is different. If I try and line those up, there you go. The Tamiya tire is like half the width of the Academy tire. Why they got such fat tires on these, I don't know. One thing I would like to try, I want to try and preserve this, because obviously the F-4D, this guy here, this is what the fatter tire is from. So I wonder if that's common on the F-4Ds, if the tires are actually fatter on them. Because there were the other tires in the Academy kit that were just as thin as the Tamiya ones. So if that is the case, if the D does have a fatter tire, then I'm going to try and want to retrofit the Academy tires onto the Tamiya kit. And then in that same fashion I could try and do it the opposite way around. Now, the Academy kit, these posts are square. And they're going to sit just like that. Square posts. The Tamiyas are round and therefore don't fit. Round hole on a square peg doesn't work. Okay, so if I am going to do this, I have to, you know, trim off the square peg on these, or open up the holes bigger on those wheels. If I try and take a look at the Tamiya, you know what, while I'm blabbering, let's put the front Tamiya tires on. So they just go on there, and that needs to be done, and I might as well just do that right now. While I'm blabbering about tires and wheels, let's just put these on. Tamiya tires going on the axles for the front gear. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. So those are on. Actually, since I'm doing what I'm doing, The Academy front wheels are the same as the Tamiya's in that they have round pegs. So I'm just lining them up so they're straight and that they'll look kind of natural. And yeah, there we go. Looks good. Straight. There we go. Okay. There you go. There's your tires, your front. Just like that. Okay. Now, while I'm at it, I want to grab the rear pieces for the Tamiya kit. N29 is the main piece. Let's just find our entry. Okay, because these have round holes on them. Let's just pull one of these off here. Okay, we're just doing a test fit here. I'm not actually going to put it on because we're nowhere near that stage yet. Now obviously the Tamiya tire, here's one of them. It even has a little peg sticking up here for a guide hole, so you put it in the right spot exactly. And that goes like that. The Academy kit obviously doesn't have that. It's got a square. Now the square hole fits fine. And the diameter of the tire is actually just it is a little bigger even. It's a bigger tire. And I can make it fit. So it's not really going to be an issue to have the wider tire on that axle. That won't be a problem. And the fact that this is a round hole going in or a round peg going in a square hole, there's a little bit of slop. It's a little bit of play in there, like that. I've got to change the camera back. I'll show you. There is a little bit of play, like I can move that wheel back and forth like this, right? But I find an edge and I leave it there, and the wheel's going to fit fine. It's going to be okay. It'll work. Once it's actually glued in and it's had time to cure, it's not going to be an issue. So the only thing is maybe this peg is a little too long. So I could trim it off, that little tip, get that tire to fit a little more flush. Still a little bit long. Try that. There we go, that fits much more flush. And that's, yeah, it's taken all that play away too. So that's much better. That's much better. There's no play in there. The tire's not moving. So that's all I need to do. And then I've got I got the fatter tire on there, no problem. Even at the end of the day, if I decide, I don't like it after all, I could still do that. And that's still gonna work. It even fits, it don't even need glue on that. But that's what we're doing. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna put the fat tires on the Tamiya kit. Okay, that's what we are going to do. So those are going to be reserved for the Tamiya kit. These are for the Academy. That's what we're changing up. I'll just put this over here for now. Let's see. So the front gear is getting ready to be installed in the front, but we're not going to be doing that, right? Because I don't like doing that till like a little bit more further in the process. We have this air exhaust outlet thing, this little box that sits at the bottom side of the Tamiya kit that we actually need to assemble. If you look at the bottom of the Tamiya kit, we got this big hole here. Okay, this box needs to be assembled and put into place there. The difference between this one and the Academy kit, Academy only has these two little cutouts for the doors. And absolutely zero detail inside. It's just a big gaping hole where the Tamiya has all the internals inside there. So definitely a step up for the Tamiya kit compared to the Academy. Yeah, definitely an improvement. But that also means I need to paint. I need to paint this box. The outside of it here needs to be painted cockpit green, and then the doors are painted red. The underside of this part, the underside of the doors are red, but the top part is white because that's the color of the fuselage. But then we've got green here all the way around, red on the inside, and then we've got our little brackets, the door actuators. They're going to be painted green and red and chrome, all kinds of little different things there. So I got a bunch of painting to do on that before I can put that into its little spot right there. So that's going to be next time as we start working on that. What I can do right now though is maybe I've got decals. They put so many decals. These planes really went crazy with the amount of warning labels splattered all over them, just everywhere. It's crazy. 3 decals I gotta put on this panel, and they're just warning labels. That's all they are, warning labels. Yeah, warning labels everywhere on these F4 Phantoms. It's incredible. I thought F-15s were pretty crazy with the amount of no-step warnings all over the wings, but these, like, they're just everywhere. I've seen some reference photo, and there's just warnings everywhere. Let me see if I can bring one of those up here real quick. Let me see. I've got a picture of one of these references of the, yeah, that's it. There's one right there. Okay, you guys got to see this. This is crazy. If I can get the right picture. I'm trying to find the right picture for you here. There. Okay, here. There you go. Look at all these warning labels. They're just splattered all over there. Warning there, warnings here, warning up here, all the way down. There, all the way across the top there. Down over on the nose, it's underneath the Korean writing, and there, over on the nose, boom, over here, here, up here, just everywhere. Warning labels everywhere. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Too much. It's just too much. Too many. Too many labels. You don't need that many warnings. Why is that still up? That's why that's still up. Yeah. Too many. You don't need to have warnings every 6 inches on the aircraft. But I guess that's how they did it back then, right? It was the 60s and 70s, however, so anyway. Have I still got time? I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. I don't know if I can keep going. No, I think I'm going to have to get going pretty quick here. I did want to at least get the front landing gear assembled on the Academy kit. So at least let's do that real quick if I can before I have to leave. I need my F-tree. I need my F-tree. That's K, that's N. I need F, 5, 9, and 10. Okay, here's F5. Nine. And 10 is coming up. There. Okay, let's get back to here. Here's our main piece. It's got a little bit of a mold seam down the center of it, which kind of eliminates the illusion that it's a pipe. Okay, so starting from the top, we gotta find our other pieces here. This guy here, it's pretty big. They've decided to do this as one piece, where the Tamiya did it in 3. So it's a matter of figuring out how it's all gonna line up. There we go. Yeah, so Tamiya did this in 3 pieces. Academy does it in 1, which would lead you to believe it's going to be easier, but because Academy's sculpting and molding is not as good as Tamiya, the fit isn't as precise. It does okay. But yeah, it's not as good as it could be. And then we have this little pipe here, and it's not quite don't know exactly where it's supposed to go. They show the bottom of it attaching somewhere, but they don't show where the top attaches. There's no definitive cutout for it, unless that's supposed to be it. It looks like they're just supposed to just lay it down on there. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do. pipe piece is different on the Tamiya kit than on the Academy, but other than that they're pretty much the same. The Tamiya kit is missing that little pipe. It's got the little solenoid or whatever it is, but it's missing the pipe. Sculpting is a little more crisp on the Tamiya kit, but other than that they're pretty much the same thing. So in similar fashion I need to put some chrome on that. And again, I'm going to use my Molotov chrome. Try to be a little more careful with it this time than how I was on the Tamiya kit. So I put too much on. So I'll move this around here. Spread that out. Even that tiniest little drop was too much. But that's okay. Once this settles down a bit, it'll look good. Let that dry, and then I can do some weathering on it. And then put the wheels on. So that's pretty much it. The Academy front door, this is the Tamiya one, of course, this guy here, which has like a total of 4 pieces. The Academy is similar. Oh, I didn't even put that little fin on there yet, but that's okay. So anyway, got a few pieces to put together here. Tamiya has the one piece with the 2 arms. Looks like Academy is doing the 2 arms separate. That's going to be fun to do. Yeah, so let's get rid of this crappy. That's enough of that. Yeah, so that's going to be done. We have our 2 little doors that are going to go in the middle there. They're just one piece each, red on the inside and white on the outside. I believe they are already white if I look back at the kit here. Yeah. So we're now getting to those little tiny little itty bitty parts, these things that need to go together. And then of course there's all the weapons, and the weapons are always, for me, the ordnance is always a mixed blessing. They look cool when they're done, but I hate putting fins on missiles and getting them all lined up, and it's just, you know, they're always crooked for me. And especially with the Tamiya, like if I get the Tamiya weapons out here, I believe these are Sparrows. They're one piece except for the fins got to go on them. The sidewinders are 2 pieces. We got the front and the rear, and we've got fins for the front that need to go on, and fins for the back. At least the fins on the back are one piece, so your alignment is going to be pretty simple on those. But yeah, why they chose to make those sidewinders 2 pieces like this, a front and a rear, and they could have easily just done a full piece like they did on the Sparrows. I don't know. But anyway, that's a long journey getting all those done. And that is where I'm going to leave it for today. And so I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you. Got another subscriber on YouTube. So thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and head over, check out the links in the description box below, and you can head over to my Twitch and subscribe to me on Twitch. And you can check out my Instagram, where I upload all the still pictures sit there and take pictures of everything that I've built in the past. Every time I finish one, I take about 4, 5, 6 pictures of it, and I upload it to my Instagram, and you can check those out too if you like. And yeah, I've got to get going here today, so that's where we're gonna leave it. And so next time we'll continue with more landing gear fun, and I'll try and have some missiles put together, and so that we can get some of the ordnance going on these guys. I have to mask off and paint the canopy pieces. As you guys know, that's always a fun little task. As far as the Academy kit goes, there's not really much left to it other than the landing gear, the weapons, and the canopy, and then that's pretty much it for the Academy kit, right? Tail fin, obviously. Tamiya's still got a little bit more to go because it's got more pieces to assemble. We've got all the fins and wings done on the Academy kit, or on the Tamiya kit. We have our air brakes we need to paint and assemble and put those, and then we're going to be getting into all the weapons. And there's a lot more weapons in the Tamiya kit than there is in the Academy. A lot more to do with assembling the pylons and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, so still going. Maybe another, I anticipate at least 2 more parts, 2 more videos before we're all done. But yeah, finally making strides towards the end. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching, and thanks for coming out. Thanks for all your positive support. You guys are really awesome. I really appreciate it. And so with that, we'll see you all in the next one.